to the exceedingly erudite Dr. Ashutosh Ji, and I've said this before, it's an absolute joy to listen to him, as is a joy to listen to everyone else. Only in India would you find the ruling dispensation and the opposition fighting over, we haven't closed down any PSU. PSUs should not exist. PSUs are draining our exchequer's money. 21% of our budget that's going to be allocated today, 45 lakh crores, is going in propping up these 1830 PSUs. 400 of them are non-functional. There has been no privatization, despite Prime Minister saying the government has no business to be in business. All what this government does and other governments do is to be in the business of running loss-making businesses. There are 495 hotels that are run by the government. I can go on and on. The only thing that's been privatized in the last 10 years is Air India, after it ran a loss of 70,000 crores. Every few years we give capital infusion to banks, to telephonies, and talking about banks. Yes, the NPAs have come down. The NPAs were 14 lakh crores. But most of them have been written off. And the point is, only 10% of what has been written off has been recovered. This is a no-brainer, and I'm disappointed. That's why I said, in all the anti-national decisions that Prime Minister takes, opposition supports him. And one of the biggest anti-national decisions you can ever think of is to run PSUs.
Well, let me get in Rohit Azad. Rohit Azad.
Since I have not made any introductory remarks, let me start with that. I'll come back to that point of public sector units. Through the debate, we are going to be in disagreement. But on one thing which I agree...
I love conclusions. I love conclusions before the first point is made.
But on one thing that I completely agree with Anand is the fact that budgets are extremely important. Especially because they set the tone. They set the tone for what the government is going to do, and especially the first budget of a new government. And secondly, when a government is talking about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, then budget is the place where they can do something of that sort. So I think budgets are very important. They should be taken very seriously. The other thing on which I agree with Anand is the question of
what's going on?
डिसएग्रीमेंट में आ रहे हैं. जब उन्होंने कहा कि मोदी जी के ऊपर हाथ है, तो बिल्कुल वो आशीर्वाद का हाथ नहीं है, वो भस्मासुर का हाथ है, योगी जी का हाथ है. तो अब 400 से 240 पे आ गए. But coming to substantial points in terms of what, let's say, this economic survey.
Two substantial points. What are you expecting?
On the economic survey, I think there's an important concern with growth. Consumption has not really grown. So it's a serious concern, because with growth, if household income is not growing, then it's a serious concern which should be taken into account by the budget. The other question, I think, is unemployment. And employment is an important issue on which the economic survey unfortunately blames the AI. Which seems bizarre, because there is no sector in India currently which is like artificial intelligence dominated, which should have led to unemployment. So I think the priorities set by the economic survey are extremely limiting.
I think the opposition has artificial intelligence.
Economic survey,
but
is it more of a...
Five numbers on...
I want only two expectations.
30 seconds में.
30 seconds में. Okay, your time starts now.
ठीक है. As far as unemployment is concerned, we've seen the lowest unemployment last year, 3.1%. RBI says, now this has started.
अब expert आने वाले.
अभी शुरू हो जाएगा. RBI says, जैसे RBI कहता है, सतर्क रहे अमिताभ बच्चन, RBI कहता है 125 million jobs have been created in the last 10 years.
What data does
Okay, no. Professor साहब, एक मिनट.
देखा, see, this is as far as this is as much as agreement as we could take, and now begins the real fight. Okay. Fire.
So inflation was 10% 10 years ago. It is 5% now. Forex was 300 billion. It is 650 billion now. Exports are highest ever, 780 billion. Sensex is 81,000, highest ever. Jobs, as I said, 125 million jobs created. PMI, Purchasing Managers Index, is 59, highest in the last 16 years. Debt to GDP ratio is at a 4-year low. आपको चाहिए क्या? मैं बताता हूँ मुझे क्या चाहिए, वही कह रहा हूँ बार बार।
जेब में पैसे,
आपको
जेब में पैसे is what people need, because that's why people are saying demand is low.
गवर्नमेंट के नंबर से ही बहुत सारी चीजें और आती हैं बाहर निकल के। बिल्कुल बिल्कुल,
हम दोनों
consensus has ended, disagreement is the order of the day.
नंबर अब एक नंबर पूछना चाहता हूं प्रोफेसर साहब से। आप बस इतना बता दीजिए 2014 में हमारा लेबर फोर्स का फिगर कितना था और अब कितना है, बस ये बता दीजिए।
हाँ, वो ज्यादा है, हमें मालूम है। अरे भाई, मुझे बोलने दोगे कि बस बीच में ही बोल दोगे? ऐसा है, बड़ी साधारण सी बात है और शायद आप नॉन इकोनॉमिस्ट न समझे।
आप समझा, नॉन इकोनॉमिस्ट राहुल गांधी भी
बोलने दोगे तो
उसको आपने चढ़ा रखा। आप नंबर बताइए ना, how many million were the labor force in 2014?
Gurudev,
if you don't know, you can
you are
tell
a
me.
scientist.
बताइए
Can
ना।
you keep your mouth shut sometimes?
No, come on, let's
listen.
Okay.
If you don't know,
let him make his point. Let him make his point.
Don't be a
मैं जवाब तो
Don't be a Maoist.
जवाब दीजिए, जवाब दीजिए।
Don't be a Maoist.
30 seconds जवाब।
देखिए, बड़ी सीधी सी बात ये है कि while the so-called labor force has increased,
कितना?
अरे भाई, can I finish? I wasn't interrupting you when you were speaking.
the number.
May I?
Okay.
Sir, forgive me for...
This is not Bastar. Give the number, Professor. I asked you. You're an economist. You know the numbers or not?
If you go... I mean, I can leave actually. I don't need to
You asked
be
me to
around.
shut up.
Huh?
Did you not?
Excuse me?
Did you ask me to shut up or not?
I did not.
Okay, but what's the number? What's the number?
Yeah, Navika, please let me explain. If you let him,
Okay.
give him so much
All
time
right.
to explain.
He doesn't know.
No. If he would only shut up and stop disturbing my line
Let's
of
be
it,
polite.
please, there we go.
Let's be polite.
Twice he said this.
Yeah,
Let's
now
be
I have
polite.
said
Ask
it.
him the number, yeah.
Okay.
Look, the point is, if millions of people who join the labor force become unpaid family labor, 55 million of that number is unpaid family labor. That means आप पकोड़ा बना रहे हैं और आपकी पत्नी और बच्चा पकोड़ा बना करके आपको दे रहे हैं. You don't get paid for it. And that...
Okay, so he's saying 5.5 crore is unpaid. Jaggi, makes sense?
Now, see, we need to look at the jobs debate in a little more nuanced manner. Everything is not jobs, okay? We have to say that jobs is a mix of real jobs where somebody employs you and you get paid a monthly wage or whatever it is. And there are livelihoods. That is, you generate a job for yourself based on self-employment, various routes, okay? So when the RBI is talking about some 650 million people who are employed, as opposed to say the gold standard in employment information is the census. In 2011, we had about 460 million people working, 360 full-time, the others with 3 months, 6 months, whatever my part-time thing, right? Now, this is probably moved up to about 650 million, around that range, okay? But not all of this is the way we define jobs. You and I may have a job because we are working for a company or something. But many people have to create their own jobs, their own livelihood.
Self-employed.
Yeah, so what is happening is livelihoods are growing, and partly it's defined as jobs in labor force surveys because of that. I personally believe that our real problem is not that jobs are not being created, but there are two issues. One, the quality of the jobs created may not be as good. And second, the real job thing, which AI, I think somebody mentioned, I disagree with him. AI will be a threat, but not yet. Our problem is automation and thing is actually making the...
So what's going to happen on the job front? We have breaking news coming in, but before that, we need to take a break. But Madhav, there's an important